This week on Dear Veronica, the myriad ways to die in the Hyperloop. Welcome back to Dear Veronica, everyone. I'm your host, Veronica Belmont. To kick things off this week, we got an excellent response to a previous question about what to do with an aging iPad. This comes to us from Twitter user LitCritter. Dear Veronica, I hung an iPad 1 running iOS 5 on the wall as a family calendar, clock, and weather station. That's awesome! So, what LitCritter did was create a web page that he's displaying in Chrome. It uses iframe tags to show his Google Calendar, the date and time from free.timeanddate.com, and the forecast from forecast.io. He then hung the iPad up using command hooks and made sure to set the iPad to never lock or go to sleep. You can view the tutorial for using the command hooks over on Lifehacker. It's a great idea and great use of old tech that still makes your life easier. Have you guys done any cool projects like this in your home? Send them in. I'll show them off in future episodes. I love it when people get crafty. On to our next subject. As many of you know, Elon Musk has open sourced his Hyperloop project, and many different companies and teams are getting in on the action to create the transportation of the future. However, people also rightfully have some misgivings about getting into a 6-foot tube and traveling hundreds of miles per hour. Like David here, for example. Dear Veronica, is there a possibility that you can be mushed riding the Hyperloop? Well, we happen to have an expert on staff. Daniel Cooper wrote an incredible post for Engadget on the matter, and he's here to set us straight. And hopefully not flat, like a pancake.
Hi Veronica and hi David. Now you wanted to know whether it was possible to get mooshed while riding the Hyperloop, and the short answer is no. Now if you're worried about the speed and things like acceleration and deceleration, the good thing is that humans have been travelling at supersonic speeds for decades. Concorde, for instance, was a supersonic passenger jet, and that travelled at 1,300 miles an hour daily when it ran a shuttle service between London and Paris, all the way across to New York. Hyperloop, by comparison, is only travelling at 750 miles an hour, which is close to supersonic, but isn't quite supersonic, so no mooshing there. The other question really is what happens when things go wrong, and fortunately, Mother Nature provides us with a wonderful built-in safety feature. Now, in order to explain this, I'm going to have to just give you a little bit of theory on how Hyperloop works. You have a big metal tube, like a big 6-foot wide, hopefully bigger, metal tube, and at either end there are air pumps that are sucking out air as fast as possible so that the atmosphere inside is near vacuum. It's never going to be a perfect vacuum, but near vacuum. And it's that enables the Hyperloop pods to travel as quickly as they can, because there's no air resistance as they fly along. Now, if the tube were to be broken, air will all of a sudden rush in at a far greater volume than the air pumps can pull it out. And what that will mean is the pod will all of a sudden encounter a huge amount of air resistance, and that should hopefully bring it to a slow and gentle stop in time for the safety systems to kick in, because as it gets closer to the danger area, the more air pressure there'll be, the slower it will travel. Hopefully that should reassure you that travelling on the Hyperloop is about as safe, at least on paper, as travelling on any other public transport system. Hope that's answered your question. Back to you, Ronnie B.
Thanks, Daniel. Guys, please read his excellent article about the Hyperloop and the companies developing it. Very, very interesting stuff there. Speaking of interesting, newsworthy stuff, we have a final question today from @ChrisAvila01 on Twitter. Dear Veronica, with all the news about Apple and encryption, what do you think should happen? Should the government have access? This is a very rapidly developing story, so who knows where we'll be when this episode comes out, but I'm absolutely on the side of Apple in this case. I think building a backdoor into iOS sets not only a bad precedent, but also just opens up Pandora's box. Once it's created, there's no taking it back. The whole reason we have encryption, especially AES 256, is so that our data is secure. Apple isn't even supposed to be able to access it, and I'm glad that other companies like Google and Facebook agree. Bill Gates, on the other hand, proves he's still got a little bit of the evil empire in him. Alright, well, it's a little more ambiguous than that, but still. And that wraps up this episode. Thanks so much for sending in those questions, and make sure to keep them coming by using the hashtag DearVeronica on Twitter. I'll see you next time. Getting smushed right.